All right, good morning. Should I say afternoon to my guest here, Liam Thompson. How are you, Tompi?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. So welcome to this next episode of the VT series. First of all, Liam, for those who won't know who you are, can you just give us a little bit of information about your background and how you became a PT? How did you enter the industry?
Yeah, of course. Cheers for having me on, mate. So, yeah, first off, I did a degree in sports science at UCLan in Preston, and literally did that part-time, did it for like 5 years, and at the end of it, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do at the end of it. Was playing for Oldham Rugby League with yourself at the time.
Yeah.
I remember getting to the end of the season and just went travelling for a little bit. In the off season, came back, had a body worse than what it is now, which is saying something. And then just obviously had to think of something what I had to do. And Adam Neely, you've had on here previously, all the way through that season was in my ear, telling me to come down and be a PT with Profit. And he was like in my ear all year. And I just, after one part, at the end of a few weeks of not having a job, I just thought, yeah, balls to it, I'll try it. And started PT and absolutely loved it from there and never looked back, really. Yeah,
I think Neely, I think you got a little cut for that, for bringing you in. I think that's rising.
He did, yeah. He didn't mention that. He was giving it all year, and it's funny because Profit was really good in educating PTs, and it's funny when I actually joined Profit. I learned a few things, and some of the things that you say to clients, like in consultations, stuff like that, and nearly been teeing me up all year. And it turns out that he got I think he got about a £300 bonus for setting up as a PT. So you're welcome, Neely. I never saw a penny of that. But,
oh yeah, don't get a beer out of it.
No chance getting a beer out of him.
Nice, great. Nice one, Valley. So you completed your degree, then you went to Profit. You just kind of touched upon there. You learnt loads at Profit. How did you find that experience? Where were you working with Profit? You were at Total Fitness, or?
Yeah, so I was working at Total Fitness in Wigan, and I think I was 23, and I went into the gym, and it was obviously a big gym, Total Fitness, and I didn't have a clue where to start, but luckily, like I said, I went through Profit, and they were really, really good with mentoring and kind of guided. They really guided their PTs. Like, they didn't just obviously send them in the gym and off they go. They really guided the PTs, and it took a bit of time, but it was good. And I worked there for, I think, two and a bit years, two and a half years, I think, with Profit in Total Fitness. Yeah, really enjoyed it, man.
Did you and were you doing your masters while you were at Profit? Was that at the same time?
Yeah, so once I'd done a year with Profit, in my second year, before I left for Australia, I did my masters in sport and exercise science. That was challenging to juggle PT, full-time masters, and I was also playing with yourself with at Oldham. So that was a challenge, mate. Yeah.
And how did you find that? Do you think that doing that masters in S&C, do you think that's really helped you as a PT in any regards, or?
I personally, I've got some aspirations to go into the strength and conditioning side of things at a professional, like, sport level. So I think I needed that. I needed to get that qualification moving forward. But if you're asking, does it help me as a PT now with what I'm doing? The answer is probably a little bit, but not so much, because obviously what I learned during that masters was very obviously sports, strength and conditioning orientated, and you don't really use that much with your your general population client. But it's good to have it there, and if I do settle down and transition, find a place where I want to stay, then I'll pursue a strength and conditioning job, and I think that's where it'll come in handy then down the line.
And so you talk about their general populations. Is that the type of client that you're training at the moment over in Australia? Sorry, we probably haven't even touched upon where you're based at the moment.
Yeah.
You just tell us a little bit about where you're based, the gym you're working at the moment, and a little bit of information about your clients.
Yeah, so I'm living in the Gold Coast in Australia at the moment, in Queensland, and working out of a Jets gym. It's only a small gym, 24-hour gym, and I've worked there for just over a year now. Client base, it's the kind of demographic of the gym is probably, I'd say, like a middle-aged gym with, clients who are, say, in the 20s and also, like, say, a little bit older as well. But I'd say the demographic is, what you would call general population. So not obviously athletes, just kind of people who want to go in there and better themselves and get fit, or lose a bit of body fat or increase a bit of muscle mass.
Mm-hmm. And do you do one-to-one PTs for those clients, or do you do any classes or anything like that at Jets?
Yeah, so I do a one-to-one PT, that's where 95% of my visit, my one-to-one business comes from. I do run a couple of classes, but for a corporate group who work upstairs in the block we sit in, and I also run one class that's kind of free to all my clients as like a perk of as a sign up on a Saturday morning, and I join in with that, and I call it train with the trainer.
Okay.
And it just kind of helps to build some community and build some relationships, and it's just kind of a bit of an incentive to sign up to PT, really.
Great. Do they get to flog you, or do you still get to write the session?
Yeah, well, most of the time I write the session, but I don't take it easy. I suppose for me it's one of them where like it kind of makes me train as well. Especially now I'm not playing rugby anymore, so it kind of makes me kind of flog myself, because if I'm leading the class and I'm going, I can't be asked for this or whatever, then they're, I can't just do that, so I've got to push myself as well. So.
And how have your clients adapted? I know you guys are out of lockdown now. You're back in the gym, aren't you? But how was that period for you guys on the Gold Coast? The lockdown and facilities being shut. How did you cope and your clients?
Yeah, so to be honest with you, mate, I did really well in considering everything that happened. We never got, unlike the UK shut down outdoor PT as well. I know that they stopped back home, the government stopped doing outdoor PT, but over here, luckily they didn't stop that. They restricted it to one-to-one, which is obviously majority where my business comes from. And I was lucky enough that the owner of the gym where I work lent me some equipment, and I had a decent amount of equipment, packed it in the car, and still kept 90% of my client base throughout lockdown. And actually towards the back end of lockdown, I actually started to pick up more clients. So I actually went out of lockdown better than what I went in. It was good.
How did you do that? How did you manage to come out with more clients? Were you doing anything differently, or changing marketing or strategy?
Well, I think when they first happened, the gyms were closed and stuff, I think a lot of PTs are probably guilty of this, and they said, like, they kind of just say, oh, well, if you want to stop PTing, like, obviously because of what's happening, like, you're welcome to do so. Like, the agreements that you have in place, maybe that you said that, okay, you can resume them after or whatever. But after I did that initially, and then after kind of like two or 3 weeks of it happening, I was listening to a lot of like podcasts and stuff like that from people like Mark Coles, and they were talking about, like, you need to take control, rather than kind of like letting things go by. And I just started reaching out to clients and leads that I've had in the gym in the past, and just started reaching out, and I was like, oh, I'll just check in with you for like 15 minutes, just have a chat, see how you're doing. And from those conversations, like, they turned into a bit of a consultation. And before you know it, I started to pick up clients again. Just from, kind of saying, look, I reckon you need to get back into this now, being a little bit assertive, not being pushy, but just obviously after chatting to people, and people's fitness was kind of, they weren't really training, and you know, they were struggling with the habits. Obviously during lockdown, no work and things like that. So I was just saying, look, you've done a lot of work, and we need to kind of get back into this, and no point throwing it away. I think you need to come back on board. We can push you forward, and a lot of them did that. Yeah. So, and then obviously by the end of the lockdown, it was actually came back into the gym, more clients than what I went out of the gym with.
Perfect. And how have you been coping with your accent? It's not holding you back over there, mate.
You know what?
Working on that pronunciation, yeah.
Look, I'm trying my best. You know, I think it's getting. That's probably the biggest challenge, you know, with PT and over here is my accent. But I think I'm trying my best. I'm trying to pronounce things best I can. And I think when I speak to my family and stuff back home, they say I'm talking posh now. I don't think that's a possibility when you're from Wigan, like. But yeah, I think I'm pronouncing things a lot better now.
Yeah. And we were just talking before we started recording this, Tompi, about that you've set up a couple of, well, was it 4 places now in quite a short period of time? Obviously, Wigan Top Fitness, then you went over towards playing rugby. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? About did you go to Wollongong first? We'll go from Wigan to Wollongong and then up the coast. How did that experience go, and getting clients to different areas?
Yeah, so I've set up in 4 different places now, and I went from Wigan where I had a decent client base, and obviously doing my masters and stuff. Then went to Australia, lived just outside of Wollongong in a small town called Shell Harbour, and I picked up really quickly there in Anytime Fitness. I used to work at, and I built my business really quickly. And then I went to do my farm work to get my 2nd year visa in Australia. Did it in near Cairns at the top, where I know you're familiar with. And then I moved to Sydney for a few months and started to set up as a PT there in the city, in the Central Business District. And then I moved to the Gold Coast and set up again here. And so I've set up 4 times now.
And what were the challenges? I know you said you picked up pretty quickly at Shell Harbour. What was the difference between there and Sydney, and obviously where you're at now, the Gold Coast?
So look, every time you start as a PT, the first few months are very challenging, and that is the biggest hurdle that most PTs face is building a client base. With in Shell Harbour, I was lucky enough that the gym that I worked for were kind of like paying me there was no rent. They kind of took a 50-50 split of my PT sessions, and they were really good with me. Like, they would give me, like, I was on reception whilst I was building my business, and that allowed me to work on my lead generation and build up really quickly. Then picked up really within 3 months or so. It was up around 30 sessions, which is obviously really, really good. Whereas when I went to Sydney, I was working in a group class environment where you kind of did your PT on the side for a fitness first. And that was kind of where I had to learn what I'd learned back from Profit in Wigan, and build my own client base on the side of doing like a classes. So do you have, I've been away for a few years now, do you have a F45 in England?
Yeah. I was just speaking to Amy on a recent episode. She's up in the Sunny Coast. We've just got one in the Northern Quarter and Salford now in Manchester. Yeah, so imagine like you've got your trainers who are working for F45. That's kind of what I was working like in Fitness First. And you're kind of doing your classes all day, and you build your PT around that. So that was a different experience that I'd never done that before. So I was like a half fitness trainer, half PT, and that worked pretty well. Then I moved to the Gold Coast, and I think this time round has taken me the longest to build my client base. I'm at a really good position now, but it took me a long time to build up, and I think the difference was my commitment to it. So this is obviously, for PTs who are starting up, what you put in to like your lead generation and building your business, you more than likely usually get back.
So like for me, I wasn't doing the extra kind of like speaking to potential clients on the gym floor, putting out little, making calls, sending emails, doing all these things that you should be doing. I wasn't really doing that, and I didn't build my client base up quickly from that. I think when my mindset changed and I went back to basics, what worked in Wigan, what worked in Wollongong, and started to do the extra lead generation, and putting the hard yards in where you don't get any money for it. That's when I've started to see the results, and my business has grown. Since like the start of this year, it's grown a lot.
And how's the scene over there? So I spoke to Amy about this on a recent episode. Obviously, she's working at F45 and she's over on the sunny coast. But how do you find the scene over there compared to the UK? And is there any differences between, down in New South Wales, in Wollongong, Sydney, and Gold Coast running at the moment? Is there any differences or similarities?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think compared to the UK, I think it's more people seem to be have a healthier lifestyle. Of course, you're still going to get parts of the population who are sedentary, but I think comparing people you see in the gym back home and people you see in the gym here, people are tend to be, they appear more active and then if you compare them between the states, so with New South Wales, I'll be honest with you, where I used to work in just outside of Wollongong and also in Sydney, your average kind of gym goer were really very capable. And when I used to train back home in Wigan, you would bring clients in who haven't trained before, and their movement skills, movement patterns, and base stability, things like that wouldn't be very good, and you'd have to build that up. Whereas over here, a lot of people I see have a good level of a decent level of mobility and stability, and it's easier to obviously build them up quicker, and start working more on strength training, things like that, start working a bit more intense. I don't know whether that's down to the lifestyle over here with the weather, and obviously people are probably more active. I have no idea, but it seems to be a little bit higher standard of ability over here.
And what are like their sort of views and how do they feel about what their opinions on PT and things like that? Is there a lot of opportunities for you as a PT there to pick them up? They're a little bit more welcoming to that sort of service.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I feel like, I don't know the stats on this. I don't know the stats. I can't speak from a statistics point of view, but I feel like people are a little bit more receptive to trainers in the gym. So, for example, back home, especially where I worked in Total Fitness, people had this stigma that PTs weren't very good, and they were kind of like trying to sell you something all the time. So I think that was one of the challenges that we had in Total Fitness in Wigan, and what we worked hard to change people's opinions. And whereas over here, it's kind of pretty straightforward to speak to people and build a relationship with them. I don't know why that is, I'll be honest, but I feel like they're a bit more receptive over here.
And so the jets that you talk about, that's a chain gym, isn't it? Yeah. And is that's similar?
24. It's a franchise gym, and it's a 24/7 gym. There's some restrictions at the moment, obviously after COVID, but yeah, it's a 24-hour gym, and I feel like there's a lot of 24-hour gyms over here. I don't know what things are like, whether it's switching like that back home now, but definitely when you're at home, you've got your bigger gyms like your Total Fitness, your DWs, places like that, and David Lloyd, stuff like that. Whereas over here, I feel like a lot of the gyms are your Anytime Fitness or your Jets or things like that, where you can go 24/7.
Interesting. And so just yourself over there at the moment, Tom P, are you looking to stay at places like Jets, or looking to a different sort of facility, or as you said earlier, go into sports eventually down the line? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years and your sort of plans?
Yeah, it's to be fair, mate, I'm not 100% sure. It depends on where I decide to kind of settle, really, because when, like, the reason being is, like, I have aspirations to work in with like professional sports teams, but I want to make sure that I'm kind of settled in an area first before I go after that. Because of when you work in a gym as a PT, you can set up relatively quickly if you do the work. If you put the work in, you can set up relatively quickly. So I think for me, from a financial standpoint, it's been important to kind of go in that route. But I think at some point I will want to go into like strength and conditioning, stuff like that. So it all depends on where I decide to settle down. I'm not 100% sure where that is right now.
Okay. And just to kind of pick up on the side bits that you've been set up, you were on about before we started recording about the odd jobs that you had to do to kind of get by sometimes. I just kind of want to ask a little bit more about experiences. I think it's really valuable for those who are looking to become PTs or at the start of their journey as PT. It isn't that you become PT and you've got 30 hours a week booked in, is it?
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You just tell us a little bit more about that.
It definitely doesn't work like that unless kind of you're in an area like let's say like a very affluent area like a Wilmslow or something like that, where people are going up to you asking you, do you want to be a PT, kind of be a PT with me? But no, it definitely doesn't work like that. I think for me, I think if you're at home and you live with like your parents or family and stuff like that, and you're not paying rent and stuff, and you can kind of, and you've got a bit of savings, you can kind of go after it straight off the bat and get in there and obviously try and build your business without another job. But if you're renting or whatever and you've not got the greatest amount of savings behind you, then of course you might juggle a few things. So personally, when I moved to the Gold Coast, and also when we moved to Sydney, actually, I was paying rent and had nothing coming in. Trying to build a business was a challenge, and some of the jobs that I've had to do to get by whilst building the business are pretty funny. I'll tell you a couple if you like. I don't know how much time you got, but I'll tell you a couple. Look, so there's an app over here called Airtasker, and people bid for jobs. Like, people will put a job on, and anyone can put a job out there. Like, it can be something like, I don't know, fix my tap or something like that. I don't know why that came to me. But people just bid on it, and if you get the bid, you accept it, you go and do the job. So for me, I was just bidding on anything and everything. I was doing a lot of jobs where it was just manual labour, working for minimum wage and just really hard jobs just to get some money in. But there was a couple of jobs where, for example, I walked a dog in Sydney for $20. I picked an old lady up. Yeah, picked an old lady up from the airport and dropped her off home for $30. Probably the weirdest one was I actually got paid to go to Krispy Kreme donuts and buy 6 donuts and deliver them to someone's girlfriend at work. So I walked in with these Krispy Kreme donuts and in the middle of it, it's 6 o'clock in the evening, in the middle of the Gold Coast, and I'm walking in with these 6 donuts. I'm asking for this person. They came out from the back, and I'm like, "Oh, here's your donuts." I had to take a picture of her to prove that I'd done the job. And I was just like, "What am I doing here? What the hell am I doing? I've swapped a business that I've already got set up. And I've moved up here. I'm starting from scratch." I was like, "What is my life?" I was like, "I've done 6 years at uni. I'm delivering Krispy Kreme donuts." But look, I had to do those jobs. I worked in a warehouse for 6 months whilst I was building my business, and then slowly went from, say, 4 shifts in the warehouse down to 1, and then got rid of it when I had enough clients to do so. So, and obviously now all I do is I work in the gym just 4 days a week, and I've got a lifestyle that I really enjoy.
Yeah, no, I think that's thanks to that, Tom. It's a bit of a laugh there talking about the Krispy Kreme, but you know, very good of people in the industry, because you do have to be resilient. You know, it's like any type of business. You know, as a PT, you are building a business, aren't you? It's not like some people might come to the gym and just train a few people and throw some weight around. It's not about that.
100%, mate. You've got to be. You have to be resilient, like you said, and the amount of times that you will get, like, you might go in and you might speak to someone and they might say hello, you might say morning, and they'll just point blank just ignore you. You might go to someone and you speak and you're trying to start a conversation and you're not interested, and even you're not trying to sell them anything, you're trying to like build some rapport, and then you just know they don't want to talk to you. Every time you're in a consultation, you might get told no. Of course you've got to be resilient, but think of it as a filter system. The more people you speak to, the more leads you generate. You might speak to 100 people, you might get 10 into consultation, you might sign up one. Of course, you want your consultation conversion rate to be better than that, but you just got to get used to being told no. But obviously, sometimes a no doesn't necessarily mean a no. For example, in consultation, that's the kind of story for a different day with regards to sales and stuff. But yeah.
No, I appreciate that. No just means maybe not now.
Exactly.
As long as they know, you kind of build
of course, and if you're confident in what the service you're providing as well. I'll give you an idea. I had a consultation last week, and I got told no in that consultation 3 times. And the guy walked out and he signed up to 2 sessions per week. I got told no 3 times. So sometimes it's just of course the sales involved in that to a certain degree. But if you're confident and you know that what you're providing will change someone's life for the better, then sometimes people just have these objections that it's good for them. You just have to show them like how much it means to them, and then. Of course, then that no turns into a yes. So.
Mm-hmm. And how do you do that, Zombie? Just quickly, I know we're not going to delve into it too much, but how do you kind of get them to understand?
Yeah, I think so. Usually, I mean, I was taught very well, like I said, from Profit, and they had a consultation process where you talk to people about why they wanted to achieve, what the goals are, and why, and you're trying to make sure that the reasons why are really important to them, and they are kind of they have an emotional attachment to the goal. It's not just kind of, I want to lose a bit of body fat. It's you want to find some really important reasons as to why they want to lose that body fat. They want to be able to wear the clothes they want to wear. They want to feel good. They want to be able to go onto the beach in a bikini and not, or with the top off, and think like really like important things. They want to feel more confident and improve the self-esteem. Then you kind of go through a process where you kind of like you asking them, what will happen if they don't reach the goal, and they're telling you like obviously how kind of how bad it makes them feel, and then you kind of ask them, are they ready to change, and they say yes, and how important is the goal to them. So you ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, and they start telling you how important the goal is to them. And then from there, they might ask you, you might ask them what they need to do to reach their goal. And when they tell you that they might need to change their training, change their nutrition, they might need to be more consistent. Then you tell them that you give them the solution to their problem, and that's how you kind of bridge the gap and kind of make your services increase the value of your services when you can provide the solution to the problem. And obviously you go into the end of the consultation when you're trying to sign something up. And yeah, if people have objections, usually they might say it's down to money or time or things like that. But usually sometimes you're just trying to show them the worth and kind of go around that and explain, well, if they said I can't afford it or whatever, then you might say, well, you've told me earlier that you've been thinking about reaching this goal for like 6 months' time. You've been waiting for a long time. You've told me that your goal is a 10 out of 10 importance to you. The reason that when people walk away, the only regret they have is that they didn't start sooner. So why don't we get you to that goal and get started? And like you kind of use obviously terminology like that, but yeah.
No, thanks, Tom. There's a great little insight there about the consultation and how that goes in terms of the sales and their goals. We've covered loads there, Tom, mate. I really appreciate that. It's a great insight into your experiences and especially the scene over there at the moment in terms of the different steps of the gyms. As we always do, the final piece of the conversation, we always ask for 3 pieces of advice for those who are looking to become a personal trainer in the industry at the moment. So what would be your 3 biggest pieces of advice, mate?
Yeah, so I reckon the first thing would be to get yourself a mentor who's been there and done it. Because like I said, I think we talked about the stats earlier, and the stats are frightening for new PTs and how many actually drop out of the industry after the first year. I think it's around about 90%. Because people obviously do very short courses. I know that which is great about your courses, that you spend a bit longer and educating them for longer rather than just doing a 6 weeks and off they go. They go into the gym, they have a qualification, they have no idea what they're doing. So, get yourself a mentor who can show you and kind of give you targets each week and help you build your business. That'd be the first one. The second one would be probably to set your stall out early with a client. So when you get a client, know what PT you want to be and like set your standards from the start. So I'll give you an example. When I first started in PT in Wigan, I had signed a client up, and obviously like you go through your goal setting or whatever, but literally after I think a month of training her, she trained with me twice a week, but she didn't really do anything else. And she never would give me like one nutrition diary or things like that. After a month, she hadn't lost any weight. Her goal was to lose weight. She hadn't lost any weight. And obviously I've been asking her for nutrition diaries every week, but nothing. She then went and was telling everyone in the gym that I was a bad PT. I didn't know what I was doing. And so from that point on, every time I sit with a client when we go for a goal setting session, we have obviously the main goals and stuff, then we talk about the process of how we're going to achieve it. So we'll talk about what we're going to do on a weekly basis to get them to their goal. So, and I'll just be direct and I'll say I'll put the responsibility on the client, and I'll say, if you do these things consistently, you'll reach your goal. Okay, and then if you don't, then I'll take responsibility and I'll change something and make it right. So if you don't do any of that, okay, and you don't do that consistently, I said I can't be responsible whether you achieve your goals or not. So you kind of put the responsibility on them, and that's what a big thing is: set your stall out, what you what you expect from them, so that you're both on the same page. And the third one would be to organise your diary and actually stick to it and be productive. So when you do start in the gym and stuff, you might not have a clue where to start, what to do. You're just kind of walking around the gym aimlessly. You might sit in the staff room, play on your phone. You might go do some weights and whatever. But by the time you might have been in the gym for 8 hours, you might not spoke to anyone. You might not have done anything productive. So I would say, organise your diary and have things set up. So when you're trying to build your client base, you might be, okay, from 9 to 9:30, I'm doing lead generation. I'm going to go speak to people on the gym floor. Then it might be 10 to 11, I'm going to train. Then you set blocks throughout the day and actually have things booked into your diary, and you stick to them and be productive when you're in the gym, rather than just being there and saying, I've been in the gym for like 10 hours today, but actually done jack shit. So just kind of actually be productive when you are in the gym.
Okay, love it. Nice one, Tom. I really appreciate it. Some really great piece of advice there, especially that second one. It's you need to set your stall out, don't you, and kind of understand, so they understand what you expect from them too.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Yeah, I think that's helped me massively. And like I said, if you put the responsibility on them, obviously, yeah, of course, if they do that and they're not getting results, you have to identify why, and that's down to you. But set your stall out early and let them know what you what you expect of them.
Thanks, Tompy. Really appreciate that, mate. I will catch you soon.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Nice catch up to you, mate.
Cheers, mate.